So I'm okay.
Hello and welcome to That Does Not Belong to Me, Dear Sisters segment. Still haven't figured out the wording of that, but it's me and my sister Nikki. Welcome, welcome to episode 60 of the podcast. How are you, Nikki?
Welcome. I'm great. How are you, Sister
I'm
Jamie?
so good. Before we pressed record, I just said, "You look so beautiful." And then she said, "You look beautiful." And then we talked about how we should put this on YouTube and get sponsors. And then we said, we can't even get a sponsor out of our own other sister, Tara. So we got some work to do, you guys. And if you know anyone who wants to sponsor us, send them our way. We'll talk about it on the
Oh
podcast.
yeah, absolutely. We'll make them sound really good too.
Oh yeah. You know when you listen to a podcast and people are clearly talking about the sponsored ad and you
Yeah.
can tell it's a sponsored
Oh,
ad that they're
right.
reading a script from,
No, we wouldn't do
we wouldn't
that.
do that. This would be
No.
so organic. We would actually use your product or wear your clothing or carry your bag.
I mean, this is Virgin Hill O Swiss
Oh,
decaf.
Nikki's literally drinking
And
Virgin Hill coffee right now.
and we are not being sponsored by them, but
No.
it tastes so good, you guys. This
Yeah.
O Swiss, it's like it's just so smooth, and I don't get the shakes like I normally do
Mm.
from, and it's the water process, so there's no chemicals in it. So Virgin Hill,
And
here's to you.
And you can get a discount with discount code Jamie15 on your
Are
first.
you serious?
Well, I think you can use it one time.
That's
So, yeah,
amazing.
online orders, they ship places. You can also get a discount at Spa Bolton. So I'm just gonna go.
Okay,
I
here we
mean,
go.
we do have sponsors, I guess. They just don't know it.
Just not
If you
giving
use
us any money.
discount code Jamie15, if you buy a gift certificate at Spa Bolton, you'll get 15% off and then you can use it for
Wow.
yourself. Don't give it away to
I
anyone.
didn't realize that. So if I go to the spa and
Yes.
mention your name,
No, you have to
okay.
go online, buy yourself a gift
Okay.
certificate,
Oh,
use discount code Jamie15, and then use your gift certificate for whatever you
I
want.
see. Okay. Also, someone just went to the spa, Bolton Spa, and she hadn't reserved. And so that's another thing is
Oh.
maybe get your ticket online before you go. Giving you advice, people. You guys want advice? Here's your advice. Call first.
And that's not just for Spa Bolton, that's probably for anything in life.
Anything. Yes.
So I told Nikki a question that no, I didn't tell you that. I said, I'm going to ask you a question. And the question that I asked Drea at the last podcast episode was, what weird things are you doing lately?
Oh, that's a very cool question.
Instead of
Okay.
asking, like, how are
Okay.
you?
That's
This is the
fine.
new question.
Okay. What weird things are you doing lately? I'm obsessed with Trump. That's my new thing.
It's
That's how
not
I
where,
spend my time,
it's not where I
is I
thought it was
listen
going.
to what train wreck is happening now. And I'm just obsessed with it. But you know what? This morning I realized my new pastime is not good for my mental health because
No
I just
kidding.
get really angry.
Could have told you that.
Okay, I know. I know. And we have told our mom that too because we feel like it
Yes.
has the same effect on her. She's just a ray of sunshine, but when she talks about Trump, my
So mad.
goodness, oh, so mad.
Maybe she needs that though too, like as an outlet.
Maybe that's how she expresses her anger. Yeah. And today I realized listening to Bernie Sanders lifts my spirits, and I find myself cheering as he's talking. I'm in my
Oh,
living room by myself, and I'm clapping. Yes. So I feel like that should be my new pastime, a
there
more
you go.
positive kind of solution to the
Problem.
problem. I was gonna swear. Wasn't
The
sure if
shit
I.
storm.
Yeah, exactly.
I can tell, like, I'm learning more and more about the nervous system, and I'm really obsessed with it. Because I just think that it really encompasses our whole being, not just our physical body or our mental health, or, um, and
Absolutely.
And sorry if you can hear Duncan on the phone downstairs.
That's because we share
Real life.
space.
We share spaces here. And I just like when I listen to anything that Duncan is listening to around politics, I can feel like my whole like it's my body that like gets like tense. And then
Really?
there's a frustration that creeps in
Yeah.
that like it's really interesting. And then I don't like it. I don't like listening to it. I
Yeah.
don't and yeah, that's where I'm at. So
Wow.
that's cool though that you've realized that that's your weird thing.
It's my weird thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So cheering to Bernie Sanders essentially. But what is your weird
Oh my
thing,
God, I was wondering you were gonna
Jamie?
ask. I don't have an answer.
Oh, do you
But
have
I
an answer?
think I
There's so many weird things you do.
It's so true.
Yeah, it's like,
It's
which one
so
do you pick?
okay. I got one. I got one. Let's normalize a little OCD here today
Oh.
because I sometimes get a sore on the top of my mouth, which sometimes you get when you're eating like a crusty bread sandwich and it cuts the roof of your mouth.
Okay,
However,
yes.
I'm worried that it's maybe something because it happens like maybe every couple of months. So I'm worried it's something like yeast related or I don't know what. Okay.
Hmm.
But it's so uncomfortable, right?
You're
Like
so brave to talk about this stuff online. I just love you.
but you know when you like eat any food or drink and you have a
Yeah,
sore in your mouth, like it's so painful. It
so
hurts.
painful.
And like I'm sorry, there's so many people suffering in bigger ways than that. But I really love food and drink, so it really makes me sad. Like it's
Yeah.
like a lot of what I go through can be hard, but that one is like really hard.
Well, it makes it
So
unpleasant, right?
it makes it very unpleasant because I
Anything you
don't
eat or drink.
the thing that I have enjoyment out of, I don't get joy out of because it's like it's uncomfortable and
Right.
painful. So that's
Yeah.
and so it was on kind of one side of my mouth, this pain, this discomfort. So I would eat on the other side of my mouth, all my
Oh,
bites.
that's not you.
That's not me. You know me now. I have a
Yes, I
behavior
do.
for a long time now where it just happens automatically. But when I take one bite, it goes to the left, and then the next bite goes to the right, and then the next bite goes to the left, and the next bite goes to the right. So I think
Whoa.
it's really good for my teeth. I don't know how this began. I remember having awareness around it, maybe when I was a teenager or a bit younger, and
Okay.
it just happened so automatically. But now when it can't happen, it's a
You
problem.
get stuck. You get stuck
I
almost.
it's mentally uncomfortable for me to only
Whoa.
chew on one side. And it
Whoa.
takes a lot of awareness because I just automatically want to send it back and forth. Not each,
Wow.
well, yeah, each bite that I swallow, not literally every chomp.
Okay. Oh, not every chomp.
No, no, no. It's
I
like,
was thinking you were
no,
doing
it's
every
like
chomp.
one
That would have taken
mouthful, one
forever.
side, next mouthful, the other side. So that's pretty
Oh.
weird, I guess.
How do you maintain a conversation when you're trying to remember which side to
I don't, it's
use?
automatic.
Oh, so you don't have to think about it.
No, not at all. I have to
That
think about it when it becomes that I can only
that's the
do
problem
one side.
now. So what does it create for you mentally when you can't switch? What's happening for you?
I really feel this imbalance. So because
Wow.
I was trying to notice like
Yes,
what is
how you
going
felt.
on there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's so funny. Like, I feel like maybe this is a really bigger thing in my life about like things being fair and
Oh,
ha trying to maintain that balance. But like,
yeah.
it's like these teeth also need attention. So like, but it's only going to those teeth. So that's not fair. I don't know. And I'm just thinking about
Y-
the other weird thing I do when I set my alarm. I never set it for 0 or 5. So it'll be like 6:02 a.m. or 7:38 a.m. and I'm like, I don't want all the zeros and fives to get all the attention. Okay, well, let's start answering questions because now we've gone down a weird dark hole
Wow,
of
that
my
I love.
insides and out.
No, no, this is the
It's
best
just,
hole ever. I love being in this hole with you because I didn't even know this was the thing for you, like to think about wanting things to be fair. I mean, I'm obsessed with this with my kids, and it
oh,
really drains me.
that's exhausting. Mom still is
Someone,
obsessed with it with her kids, which is us.
oh, jeez.
She tries anyways, you know?
Yeah, that's
Or
it. We
talks
try and
about
we
it,
always
thinks about
fail.
it. That's
We
it.
always fail.
I
It's
think it's
never fair
a
because life isn't
losing.
fair.
No, the sooner kids can realize that, the better. Okay. So let's get to our questions. We were like, oh, we have a lot of questions today. We'll keep our intro short.
Nope.
No. Okay, we've disappeared. Hold on. We're getting there. So what I'm going to do, Nikki, do you want
Yes.
to ask this first question, which was
Oh, I love
directed
this
directed
one.
directly at you?
Oh, I love this one. Dear sisters, Nikki had,
Ugh.
let's try again. Dear sisters, Nikki has great boundaries. Does she reevaluate them every year? Do they change? And she writes her name, so
Well, I wrote her
oh,
name.
you
She
wrote a
didn't
name.
say it was going to be, I don't think it
Okay.
matters, but
Probably not. It's written by Noemi, my beautiful friend, who I treasure, and I just love that she's just sending us a question. I think it's so great. And what a great question, because this has been something that has been a huge problem for me and is now
a
no
huge
longer,
practice.
it's a practice. That's true. Yeah. So I would say about a year ago, I didn't, I would say in general, didn't have great boundaries. I think I was working on them, but Something really clicked about a year ago when I started doing self-hypnosis and took the training and had some major shifting in my own thoughts and recognizing my thoughts. And essentially now I really take time. I think I still struggle with it, but I really take time to make sure my intention is the right one before I agree to do anything. So if I'm doing it to please someone, if I'm doing it because I'm worried that they'll be upset if I say no, I know that that's my ego showing up, and I know those are old patterns, and I know that my purpose in life is to learn to break those,
Mm.
even though they're uncomfortable. So whenever I say no to something, I remember going back to work last year. It was last year at this time. And I went back because I had such bad boundaries the first time I was there. I ended up burning out. I ended up quitting. So when I went back, I said to myself, I'm going to do as little as possible. So when it came to lifting my hand up to volunteer to do something, I just didn't. I just
Held
sat
your
on my
hand down.
hand. I
Yeah,
sat
yeah.
on my hand. So I would say, and actually my colleagues noticed, my friends noticed, and they were so proud of me. Instead of being irritated with me, it was something that they appreciated because they knew when I said yes, I was able to actually do it. What,
Mm,
because prior to that, I was saying yes to things, and I knew in the back of my mind that I was so overwhelmed, it wasn't going to happen. And that's the worst feeling ever when you know you're going to let people down
yeah.
or you're going to let yourself down.
Or
Like,
you hope like they'll just forget. But that doesn't feel good either, you know? Like, and I'm
right.
talking not so much work environment, but in general, when I get a lot of requests and things coming at me,
I
and
bet.
I'll get back to you. I'll check that out. I often have a lot of those vague responses when I know for certain I'm not going to do anything about that
Yes.
one thing, whatever that is.
Because you have a lot of people asking you a
There's
lot
just,
about
yeah, lots of
everything.
bouncing parts. And,
Yes.
but I'm thinking, like there's one thing to, like, in my own way, I'm setting my boundary by not
Mm.
doing it
Not
or
committing to
not committing,
anything.
and in another way I'm being
Yeah.
flaky by just saying like, yeah, I'll let you know, or like it must be worth me to experiment with like real honesty and being like,
Right. I'm
I
sorry,
will
I don't
not be doing
know.
any of this. I'm not even gonna consider it and put it in my brain.
I wonder how that would make you feel. If
Yeah.
you would feel a bit lighter, because I wonder if it's kind of leaking energy, just leaving the door open a little bit on these
Yeah, I'm trying to think
interactions.
of specific examples because there's definitely some where it doesn't matter. Like people will reach out and be like, "Do
Yeah,
you have know of a cottage to rent?" Oh, I'll
right.
ask around. That sort of thing, right? Where I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
I'm
If it
not gonna
comes
ask
up,
around, but if it comes up, I'll try to
yes,
remember that you asked?
yes,
So,
yes,
yeah.
for sure. That makes
Um,
sense. What about you, Jamie? Do you
well,
evaluate your boundaries? This is such a great question
it's such a good
for
question. I
anyone.
think it's a constant work in progress, and I think the fact like you and I led a boundaries workshop not
Yes,
that long ago, right?
right.
So you kind of like when you're
Yeah.
talking about it in that sort of way, you really have to practice it yourself. And
Yes.
I feel really good about where I'm at. And, even just recently, I don't know, I just feel like I want like less on the calendar. There's
Mm,
already like so much going on. And I was coaching someone this morning, and there were two areas of her life that she felt like she wanted to work on or improve. One of them being her friendships, and one of them being
mm.
like cleaning up in her house and decluttering, and it's feeling like really upside down and messy right now.
Wow.
And I just asked, like, because she was like, I want to have my friends over to do this activity, but the house is upside down. And I was like,
Right.
either you have the friends over and you don't care and they love you no matter what,
Yeah.
or you prioritize the house and the friends wait, right? So I just said, like, which one's more important to you right now? Which one's more important? Which one is literally going to make
Yes.
you feel better? And she was like, the house. I'm like, perfect, go. And that friends wait, right? Like, but
Yes.
but so often I don't know, it's like we need to take a step back for a second and be like,
Yeah.
okay, what's most important to me right now?
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what that thing is. Like, some might think, no, relationships are more important than clutter,
Right.
of
Right.
course, but not necessarily, not for your internal well-being, yourself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I used to think that we're here for such a short time. We should be spending quality time with as many people as possible all the time. And I was like, hang on a sec. Because there's such value in taking care of ourselves, spending time with ourselves. So if
Mhm.
that's organizing our own space,
Yeah,
um,
there's lots of way to do self-care in that way. That
oh
is self-care.
yeah. Yeah, and I think you having a great relationship with you is the absolute priority. And
We just set a boundary because we were supposed to run, we spoke about
yes.
it on the last episode, but we were supposed to run a group series, Nikki and I co-leading something called Unbecoming, which would be based off the workshop that I gave, but would include things like boundaries.
Hmm.
There would be group hypnosis, there'd be some yoga conversation. We were very excited because we love doing things together. And then I reached out to Nikki because neither of us have had time to like figure out what this series is going to be. We knew it was going to be 5 weeks. It was going to be in April, but now we're reaching the point where it's got to be on the website in 3 days or it's not happening.
Right.
Um,
Yes, I knew it
Val's
too.
like
As it was
which is
approaching, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have nothing." But
yeah.
well, we do.
Oh,
We
we can make
have
it happen. That's the
we
thing.
could
But
make it
this is
happen
a really
for
good
sure.
example because so the question I always like to ask is, what am I trying to prove? And
Mm.
and like that's part of asking, what is my intention behind
Oh,
this,
okay.
right?
That's a neat
So
way to frame it because the word "what is my intention," that concept is
yeah.
very abstract.
Yes.
So what am I trying to prove? I like
It's kind
that
of, and I was
instead.
thinking, like I want to do this because I love spending time with you, because I know it would be great and
Yes.
people would benefit from it,
Yes.
because it would be good for the well, like some money would come in, you would get some,
Yeah.
like, there's the financial aspects, but was I
Yeah.
doing it because I wanted to? Like, was it coming from a place where like this is going to serve me? And I
Mm.
know it would, but I also know that it would stretch me too
I
thin.
was going to say it serves you if you have place for it, if you have room
Exactly.
for it, but it doesn't serve you if it's adding to that, other layer of overwhelming kind of rhythm. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking today as I'm rushing out the door, I was sorry I was late to come here, and I thought, oh my God, I'm so sick of rushing around. And then I thought, this is something that brings me joy. Like, so for this, I'm gonna rush and try to get somewhere on time. So I just think that sometimes, in my life, I've got to clean up all the other rushing arounds and I have to minimize, even social stuff. I really have to keep that at a minimum.
You
Like
also have your
it's,
kids' social stuff too.
oh,
Like you
well,
have,
that's it. Yes.
yeah. So there's
It's
more to it.
just time is so limited. So it has to be we have to decide with
Yeah.
the right intention. So what am I trying to prove?
We were talking about a wedding that's upcoming that's like a family friend. I was talking about it with Duncan's family, and it's this summer, very nice couple, very happy for them. And then I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll be going. And I was like, my days are too precious. Like like it's a big commitment to go to a
Yes.
wedding. I love going to weddings, first of all, but
Yes.
I'm like, I would probably rather, if I'm gonna have a day off from the marina, I'd probably rather be with my closest friends or family or
Yes.
you. So
Yes.
yeah, it's just making those really conscious decisions, even if they
Wow.
don't always feel like the ones that we should be
I
making.
feel like that's a pretty new thing for you to to make that distinction. Is it?
I don't know, maybe
Okay.
in certain ways.
Because
It
I feel
seems
like you've
like
done so much. You're,
people see me as doing a lot and more like over the last, I mean, it improves, it ebbs and flows. There's weeks where I'm like, oops, did it again, too much. I think my norm is going to be more than a lot of people's,
Mm-hmm.
a lot, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's where, yeah, I used to get really defensive when people, especially that people who love me, like mom, would be like, "You do so much, you do so much," and I'm like, I just do what I
Oh.
love to do, like,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, sure, every now and then I say yes to something that I
Yeah.
wish I didn't,
Yeah.
but uh, yeah.
Why defensive? I'm just curious what, like,
Yeah, I don't know, it's interesting. I
yeah.
think I've tried to let that go a bit because like what am I trying to defend here?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
it does make it seem like I have to prove myself, which is exactly what I don't want to do.
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
exactly what I'm saying is like, what am I trying to prove here
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
being defensive?
Well, there's something that's coming your way with this line of questioning where it's almost like you have to defend it, but
I
what is it?
I think I guess it's interesting and it's not anyone's fault. I think there's a frustration in that like people don't know me. Like but because
Oh,
I'm so like out on the open, I talk about
yes.
everything. I think people think they know me, but like you don't know the insides of me, of what feels good, of
Yeah.
what doesn't feel good. Like
Oh, so if someone asks that of you, it's kind of proof that they don't know what fires you up.
maybe, or yeah,
Or
and I think it's just such an old story that like having a lot of different things going on is a lot. Like it's such a, you know what I mean? Like it's uh I know I'm
Like
countering what
seeing it
you
negatively,
Yeah, I
you're saying?
guess so. I
Mm,
guess so.
yeah.
And I also get defensive because I'm like, I don't sit at a desk for 8 hours all day, which to me sounds like
Mhm.
a lot. And
Right.
because my life
Right.
is different in that I have a lot of moving parts, people are like, "Oh my God, it's so much. Like you shouldn't do that. It's too much." Like
Okay. So when they say
it's like
it,
I have to stand
it's
up
like
for
they're worried
my
about
life.
you, and
Oh
you're
yeah, it's
like, don't
coming.
worry about me. Like
Yeah.
if you only knew this was firing me up, and
Yeah.
this is the stuff of life.
I guess
Like,
that's it. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
that
thanks for that.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
No, it's good to think about. Okay, well,
So
we mentioned boundaries.
we did mention boundaries, and this is an interesting question about
Yeah.
kind of about boundaries too in
Yes.
adult friendship. This
Uh,
is a great question
can I read
from
this one?
such a wonderful
This
person.
one will remain anonymous.
Anonymous,
So, dear
yes.
sisters, I've been best friends with someone for the past 25 plus years. We met in elementary school and have gone through all of life's major milestones together. Over the past year and a half, she has gotten divorced and has a new man in her life. For a whole bunch of different reasons, I am against the relationship. There are signs of risk of financial abuse and control, psychological violence. I've made my concerns very clear from day one, but she continues to pursue this relationship. I took a step back a few months ago, just trying to accept that she was a grown woman making her own decisions and kept our interactions to a bare minimum, all the while telling her that although I didn't agree with the relationship, that I would be supportive if she needed me. A year into this, I now find myself realizing that we actually don't have very much in common, that I'm not really interested in moving forward with this friendship, and I question whether I should stick with it or if we should break up, air quotes.
Mm,
When we occasionally chat, I feel like she pretends everything is fine, and I just feel awkward. We have discussed my concerns more than once, and she's
mm,
admitted that others have shared their concerns too. However, in her choosing to stay in what I believe is a toxic relationship, I find myself questioning if our values are still similar or if we've become different people from who we once were. Any advice on
mm.
managing adult friendships?
Oh my God, this is
Anonymous.
such a good question.
Can I
Adult
just
friendships are difficult.
This is such a good question. And I also
Yes.
just want to acknowledge from the question just before that, because she was asking if you reevaluate your boundaries every year.
Mhm.
I think one of the answers that maybe we both agree upon is that our boundaries are going to ebb and flow. Just as our
Mm.
needs are going to ebb and flow, our desires are going to change. And as because we're evolving human beings, or at least I hope we are. And if someone's asking this question, they're absolutely an evolved human being who's
Yeah.
working on their personal development, right?
Yeah.
Some people will go through and just be like, no, I've been friends with them forever. Just gonna stick it out.
Without any questioning, without any kind of evaluating, what is this friendship bringing to me? There's a few things in this. If we can go back up, it's the beginning talks a lot about, you know, I mean, this is a 25-year-old friendship. So for sure, you have two individuals who have gone through many milestones together, but at times, we drift apart. There's many friendships I have where we've drifted and then come back together as we kind of go through these life decisions and realize maybe our values are not the same. But what's interesting here is it feels like when I was very close with someone who was in a relationship that was toxic and the same type of relationship, I remember working really hard to get her out of that relationship. And I got her out for a little bit, and then she went back. And then when she went back, I realized I was so angry with her that I kind of now, in reflecting back, I kind of realized now that I was doing more work than her. So whenever we're doing more work than someone in a friendship or in a relationship or even with a client that we're working with, that resentment and that anger is an indicator that we're not respecting their limits and their boundaries, and we're not respecting ours either, because there's kind of a line there where she needed to be in that relationship. If I look back on that friendship, she needed to be there, and she needed to keep, you know, whatever it is she's learning, she's still in the middle of learning it. And here I was trying to interfere and stop and bring it over to my side where I thought, but you'll be happier if you do this, and it is true. She would have been. And same for this friend. She'd be happier in a healthy relationship. But sometimes that person just isn't there in the learning in life. And so when we start getting angry at someone, we do have to check ourselves to say, well, am I judging something in this person? And I mean, at the same time, I see that they don't have a lot in common. So that's a whole other
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right? For me, that's more of a reason to take a distance, whereas, but it does seem like maybe she's lost respect for her friend as well.
She brought up the good point of like we have maybe different values. And
Yes.
that says a lot, just based on, when you see that someone is willing to have a relationship, any type of relationship with someone who is clearly so disrespectful in so many ways. We obviously don't know the ins and
Mm.
outs of it. And it's sad because then you see, I love this person and they don't value themselves. They're in this
Mhm.
relationship where
Right.
the respect is not there, but like you're someone who like is like I respect you, I like I want to be respected in life, so
Yeah.
that can be really hard to watch, and
Yes.
especially if you really care about the person.
Yes.
But and like I'm saying respect as like as if it's a value, which I think it is actually, but
Yeah.
it does create a sense of like who are you anymore? Like I thought you would be someone who would stand up for yourself or who wouldn't put up
Right.
with this, and now I
Right.
see you in this. So it makes you feel like they're almost like a stranger, it must be,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
you can understand how the disconnect would
Yes.
happen.
That's a good description of it.
I think many
Yeah.
friendships are so cool. Like I've coached some women in their like 50s and they're like, my friends are off doing their own thing. It's different now. And
Mhm.
like, it's so hard to make a friend now. And I'm like, I've made some of my best friends in the last 5 years. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm 40 now, but still
Yeah.
like making grown-up friendships is so incredibly special because it's not
Hmm.
just out of convenience that you went to school together. All those things that put us with our friendships from a young age, right?
Yeah.
It makes total sense that friendships evolve, whether it be because of the relationship they're in, like this, or just because you two evolve as different people.
Oh,
Now, the
absolutely.
question is, I'm curious your thoughts. And again, we'd maybe
Yes.
like it's always be soon. We're gonna have people call in so we can have a little back and forth because it's always helpful to have a
Yeah.
little more. She gave a lot of info, which is great.
Yeah.
But do you break up or do you just do the fade away?
Yeah. That's a really good question. And I would say, during those occasional chats that she's having, where she feels like her friend is pretending everything is fine, but she's feeling that awkwardness, it's probably because she wants something deeper. She's looking for something deeper, but how can she go deeper with somebody who's living like the majority of their relationship? Because if they're in a toxic relationship, that's a huge part of their life. And how can you continue as though nothing's happening, right? It's almost like you need to acknowledge the elephant in the room and say, this, uh, you know, I I'm really having trouble with this. I'm really having trouble understanding how you can stay in this relationship. And it sounds like she's already had those conversations,
Well,
but maybe she could go further to say, and it really affects me and our friendship.
yeah.
And I'm worried about our friendship. If she wants to go deeper.
I was gonna say there could be an elephant in the room from the other friend
Mm.
as well, who I'm gonna assume is not stupid, is not, like
Mm-hmm.
she
Mm-hmm.
probably knows her friend, probably because this
Right.
person has said it, or because we can feel things, we can sense things.
Yes.
I have friends who like I've not been a super fan of their partner necessarily, and we
Yeah.
don't need to talk about it too much to know. So are they going to talk
Yeah.
like, there's a certain thing, it does create this little mini elephant sometimes that's like you can't get to the depths of conversation with that person even in those
Right.
even in those moments. So with this, I can
Right.
imagine that her friend, first of all, is like, well, I'm not going to talk about my relationship, which, like you said, is like a big part
Yes.
of that life.
Right.
And like probably she knows that this isn't good too, that this isn't right, but she for whatever
Mhm.
reason, she can't leave it. So,
Yeah.
so that yeah, it creates huge separation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. But I really sense the value in friendships, adult friendships, adjusting and transforming. So I think sometimes a little break is great, and I think what's happening now is great, and I don't think it needs to. to be an actual breakup because there's value. The thing is, I think, when we realize we don't share the our fundamental values with someone, and yet maybe this girl really makes her laugh.
Hmm.
Maybe they're really silly together. There's something in that friendship that's still there. There's something I think there's something still there, but there's such a frustration and hurt from why aren't you protecting yourself, like you so beautifully said before, like why aren't you keeping yourself safe? Like I care about you enough to keep you safe. How come you don't care about you enough to keep you safe? But I'm thinking there are elements to this friendship that are still so beautiful, but it's okay to take more distance, more boundaries, and to even name that, to say, I just need a little space right now because I care about you so much, and it's hard for me to see you get treated badly
That's a
on a
really
regular.
nice way to, I think if she did want to have a conversation, that would be a really nice way to put it and just say like, I'm here if ever things change.
Yeah.
And then also like sometimes a conversation doesn't need to happen. Like, and it's not to
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
sometimes we want to
That's
avoid
true.
hard conversations because we don't like them. They're
Yeah.
uncomfortable for sure.
Yeah.
But also like sometimes it doesn't need to be a big deal, especially if it's like kind of organically that you don't really see each other that much anymore. Our lives have evolved. People get busy with their own things. And again, we prioritize different things now. So yeah, it's not an easy one though, because of course it would almost be like you'd have to mourn that friendship too if you were really officially cutting it. But
Hmm.
also, is it worth doing that so there's not this like lingering like energy leak, like you mentioned, like,
Yes.
right?
Yes, exactly.
And
Exactly.
when you think about friendships, I like to think about like well, I mean, in terms of energetic exchanges in general, but like we have these like banks, right? So like if
Hmm.
I'm in distress, I'm going through something,
Hmm.
my friend is going to be there and they're going to be investing, they're going to be bringing me some food and coming to visit me, checking in on me. They're giving me to my bank, they're depleting themselves, right? But ideally, it's a give and take. Like over
Yes.
time, it goes back and forth. It's that neutral or whatever. But if you're feeling too like you're the one always giving, it
Hmm.
just is not good.
Right. Yeah. But it sounds like the conversations that she has when she does address her concerns are actually well accepted, which is interesting because in other friendships I've had where I've addressed concerns, the person's been so defensive that
Right.
there's
You can't
there's
even
no
get anywhere.
dialogue. So I feel like there's something to hang on to here when she is listening. And a lot of people will shut that door hard. Like if they're in a
It's true.
relationship that's toxic, they will not discuss it. So it's really good that she's managed to have these discussions with her.
Hmm. So I know you're listening, the person who wrote this question.
Yeah,
Please
she's
write
a great
us.
fan.
Please write us. And all right, we'll
Yeah,
go
we could
on.
do a follow-up
Yeah.
from this as well. If we didn't quite hit the right
Yep.
spot, if you feel like we're off on this, we love some more information and to find out your perspective some
Yep.
more.
And any listeners who have thoughts too, send them our way.
Oh yeah,
Slash my way.
absolutely. You're amazing.
All right. Actually, on that note, it's funny because Nikki before this was like, I'm not accepting new clients." And then I was like, "Me neither. I don't want to. I don't want to take any more. I love the ones I have, and then that's it." We're like, "What are we doing this for?" And we're like, "Well, for fun because we love it, not for promo."
Right.
To be influencers, to sell
We have
coffee and spa
we have
experience.
promoted the Bolton Spa in Virgin Hill so far. Yeah.
Okay, Nikki, you want to go on with this one? This is another big
Yes.
one.
Okay, another big one. Okay. This is a general question that I've had throughout my career. I've been a social worker for over 20 years, and this is a question that comes up regularly from my friends, from people, the clients, families I've helped. So here it is, and I bet you can relate. Even I can relate to this. My child has anxiety. How do I get my child to attend school when they're having a meltdown? This is such a huge problem. We have currently in the school board in this region, many children who will not go to school because of their anxiety. So there's something that I've realized in my own raising my child and who also would have meltdowns right before school. And I remember being pregnant and trying to get her on the school bus. And the school bus driver, Gary, was so patient and so sweet. And I could almost cry just thinking about how kind he was, just
Oh,
sitting in the
Gary.
bus while I brought the screaming child onto the bus and put her on. And I was very pregnant at that time. And I don't know, he was just, you have these little angels in these moments, right? That just help you carry on. But that is when I reached out for help. So I would, my first bit of advice would be reach out for help. Listen, I was a social worker and I called to get a social worker. So no, there's nobody who has all the answers. So even though I've been helping people in the same position, I needed help as well. So it's okay to ask for help. Um, and the other thing is, I just want to say there's a phenomenon that I have not seen anywhere. It hasn't been discussed. I'm making this up, okay, completely from my own brain. It's called oppositional anxiety. And what it is, there's oppositional defiance disorder, which is a disorder that basically the child has severe behavioral issues when it comes to anybody asking them to do anything they don't want to do. They'll have major meltdowns. Well, oppositional anxiety it's a new thing. It's it's kind of manifested by the new parenting style, which I think tends to be towards avoiding suffering. They do not want their child to suffer. So we've managed to kind of maneuver our children's lives where they have very little suffering. So when we see them suffer, we get uncomfortable and we go right into fixing it for them. And so this has kind of led to the anxiety serving the child to get what they want in a sense. So if I have anxiety and I don't have to go to school and I get to go on my screen, well, my needs are met. Let me tell you, I'm good. Can I ask you, who on earth wouldn't have anxiety then? Right?
I want anxiety,
Right?
please.
And I'm not saying that the anxiety itself isn't real or the meltdown itself isn't real, because it's real. It is real. But there is no room for introducing a tool to help with that anxiety if the ultimate result is when I get anxiety, I get to avoid school. Avoiding is the worst thing you can do when you have anxiety.
Mm,
Avoiding is the worst thing you can do. So that's number one. And number two is rewarding with, unfortunately, we had to have screens now. So staying home from school, your child will be entertained and not in a positive way. Screens are not positively affecting our child's development socially, emotionally. So we have then a situation where there's kind of multi-layer problems. And if you're a parent in the situation where, your child has missed a lot of school because of anxiety and they've been on their screen a lot, it's not too late to put things in place to get things in order. And I can tell you, I know myself, my instincts were telling me I'm not doing this right. Whenever I gave in to my child when they had a meltdown, I knew I wasn't doing it right. So it's okay. It's okay. Just know that we're all struggling. It's all very difficult, but it's not too late for you to decide that what is best for your child is that they struggle, is that they push through. And my big tip, it's a very simple tip. If your child is refusing to go home and you absolutely cannot get them to school, which I think we should do everything we can in our power. It's easier when they're small because you can lift them like I did when I was pregnant. But if we can't physically get them to school, when they're at home, it has to be so uncomfortable that the next day they want to go to school. Because if it's comfortable at home, why on earth wouldn't they do the same thing the next day? Right? They're going to do the same thing the next day because they got to stay home and go on their screen and relax. But if at home you have no access to Wi-Fi, if you're doing,
chores.
chores the whole entire day, let me tell you, the next day you're going to manage those very normal feelings of anxiety before you go to school. Those are very normal feelings, but that child will be able to manage them better. In the meantime, you can give them the simple tool of taking 3 deep breaths. Whenever we have that anxiety coming on, we need to change our nervous system to tell our brain that we are safe. Because our brain is convincing us that we're in danger, that we're in imminent danger, that we're going to get killed, essentially, is what our brain is telling us. When really, we're just going to go to school and there's going to be a few challenges and we'll build resilience. So there's no problem in sending our child to school when there's a difficult situation, difficult teacher. They are building resilience. We're not traumatizing our children by sending them to school.
I have a kink to throw in here, okay? A little
Okay.
challenge coming your way.
Yeah.
So I remember, and you probably know the story, or maybe we're around, but when I was younger, going to the French school, I think I was in grade 2 or 3, and I played sick. I pretended to be sick for a period of days. I can't remember exactly. I remember staying down at the marina, and there weren't screens. I probably watched
Oh, okay.
TV or whatever. And I
The Price
honestly
is Right.
think I did have a tummy ache. Yeah, probably The Price is Right and The Golden Girls. And
Right. Yeah.
um, but it was because a boy was trying to kiss me and be inappropriate with me. And I
Mm.
didn't and couldn't vocalize that. I was very shy in many ways, maybe not so much at home, but it felt so uncomfortable for little me to speak that. So I
Yeah.
played sick, right? So
Right.
I mean, I totally,
Yes.
what you said, I feel like is so valuable to so many situations for so many parents. And sometimes there might be an underlying something else going
Yes.
on, right? You're not trying to diminish,
Absolutely.
obviously, any other like real issues that kids are
Absolutely.
experiencing. But yeah, and I can't remember how it all played out or how it got like finally said
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
dealt with that so that I could actually feel safe going back to school. But
Very interesting that you said that because I did encounter a situation where there was extreme anxiety. And remember, I said it's easier to lift a small child. Well, this was a teenager that was having a meltdown in the parking lot. The mother didn't know how to get her into school, and I tried my best, but we couldn't. You can't
yeah,
physically lift them. Anyway, she was having a complete meltdown, and after working with the child in a group setting, actually, this is why I'm a firm believer in group settings, it did come out that there was a situation of sexual abuse earlier in the summer, and she didn't know how to tell her mom. So yeah, I think there definitely can be, incidents that that have led to this, your child unraveling. But if you do notice a difference in your child's behavior, that's pretty drastic. And if they're not good at expressing it with words, which many children are not, um, asking them to draw what it's like for them at school or draw them a picture of when they're feeling sad or nervous or anxious. Put a paper and pen in front of them, like when you were little, if that could have happened, maybe, and maybe, your parents did, our parents found a way to figure out what was happening, the underlying issue. Maybe you were able to vocalize it, but if you're not, you can, draw it, or there's kind of that detective work that we need to do when we notice a shift in our child's behavior, because prior to that you were going to school,
yeah,
right? There was just a sudden stomach ache. So yes, the stomach ache can be, there could be other issues, but it also could be a strategy. So
yes,
it's
yeah.
it's
Being a
very
parent is
tricky.
hard, so that's the moral of our story.
There's no answers. That's our answer. Right.
Okay, are we good for
Mhm.
the next one?
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
always
We're
feels like we
solving
could.
all the world's
Oh
problems.
yes, oh yes, straight to the bottom of
I wonder if
everything.
our listeners listen and feel more confused.
Confused? Please let us know. Please info@jamiemore.com. Let us know. Are you more or less confused after listening?
Right?
Great question. Okay, this next one I'm going to first read in French because that's how it was written, and then I will translate to English because we are in a bilingual province, and what a gift that is in so many ways.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
sometimes it's not, but in a lot of ways it is. Okay, chère sœur, selon vous, quelle est la plus grande qualité qu'un entrepreneur puisse développer? Et ça vient de Emily. What do you think is the greatest quality an entrepreneur can develop?
Mm.
I loved this question, and I didn't think of an answer before, but
Yeah.
I love being
Yeah, you're just speaking
spontaneous.
from the
I
heart
just
here.
love that
Yes.
about me.
I love that about you too. I love that neither of us are ever prepared for this and we just wing it.
So Nikki and I are coming from two very different places in our entrepreneurial journey. So we will probably have very different answers, and it may not be one simple answer. So
Again,
do
no
you have
answers.
an answer, Nikki?
Can we start with you? I feel like
Yes,
this is a
absolutely.
question for
Okay,
you,
sure.
honestly. And
Okay, greatest quality, the
yeah.
greatest quality that we can develop. Oh, there's a few places my mind is going, but okay, the first one is going to be self-trust.
Mm,
Um, I think when you choose to
yeah.
go on this journey, as we call it, as an entrepreneur, you're going to be faced with a lot of walls and barriers and challenges and stories that your own mind is creating up or that you're seeing or hearing, the limiting beliefs, all of that. And the more you can trust yourself to know that what you are here to do is to be of service in whatever your offering is, because that's what it is to be an entrepreneur, right? Is like
Hmm.
you, whether it's a product or a service, you are offering something to the world that they won't otherwise have.
Yeah.
And even if you're making the same thing that 500,000 other people are making, it's not the way you're making it. So to trust that we are here for good reason and offering this for good reason is I think really powerful. And it comes back to just like remembering why. Why am I doing this? Like that's something I always get people to check in with when they're starting off and like regularly, any workshop, any program I've been in for entrepreneurs, why? Why? It always
Hmm.
starts with your why.
Mm.
And if it's like, because I want to
Yes.
make big bucks, then like, great, that can be a reason, but is that going to keep you motivated for years? And like when the ups and downs are happening, is that going to keep you in the game? Right?
So usually it's more than money.
It's usually, it doesn't mean money can't happen.
Yeah.
Ideally, it does.
Yes. Yes.
That's one thing. What are your thoughts? I feel like I
I
have
don't
more,
think I
but
should answer this.
oh,
No,
because you don't know
because
yet.
okay, I'm going to tell
Well,
you the
this will
truth. I
be an
haven't talked
answer.
to you about this. You're my business coach and I haven't had this
Are you
conversation.
quitting?
Well, I don't know if I have the qualities to be an entrepreneur.
This is the good
I
answer.
really don't know. I feel very safe in a job
Yeah.
when there's someone, that is I guess taking a leadership role where I have kind of steady income or this kind of thing just works with my personality. And I'm not sure if I have the personality. I would have said perseverance would be
I was
a
gonna say,
quality.
what do
Yeah.
you feel like you're you're
Lacking
lacking?
probably the edge to make money.
Mm.
Probably that.
The money part is a real
Yeah.
thing. Like I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm saying people might think like I'm gonna go into this to make money. That's my, like, and no, anyone I work with, that's not the case. If anything, they're like, I just want to do it because I love it. And then it's like,
Right.
okay, but also you need to make money.
Yeah, right.
And
You have
that's
to remind them.
really the hard part for a
Yes.
lot of people is to like yeah, just wrap their head around having to be a salesperson.
Right. To embrace that. So I mean, I'm still exploring this. I do think I have gifts and something I really have to, there's a few ideas I have I'm exploring with a friend of mine in terms of like what we can offer. And I just I just need that confidence probably that comes with maybe somebody else who has these type of skills. I know my skill set is very rich,
Hmm.
but it's very narrow. So I'm really good at going deep with
Yes.
people. I'm really good at kind of uncovering stuff and helping them move forward and heal. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of other skills you need as an entrepreneur.
And I'm so glad you said this and wanting stability. There's nothing wrong with wanting stability. There's nothing bad about that at all.
Right.
For like, to have a stable
Yeah.
job. And I'm like, I always like, I go on about entrepreneurship because I love it and I love helping people. But I have plenty of friends that, either work for the government or work for a company or whatever it is that they get, a few weeks off a year in benefits. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I love this for you so much. I'm not even joking. I just want them to be happy. I just want them to be happy and
Yes.
fulfilled, right? So
Yes.
the job itself,
Absolutely.
the way that the job goes down, the way you're getting paid, I mean, you need to get paid ideally, but like, yeah, that doesn't really matter. But are you fulfilled? Are you happy? And
Yes.
like, is every job going to make us happy? Is every part of every job? No. Like, it's, but ideally, you're like feeling okay about going to work every day and not just living for the weekend.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That's a huge thing. And but I think also the way we do our jobs can help us actually enjoy the moments, right?
Absolutely.
The energy that we bring into it. And sometimes work environments are really difficult to do that in.
Yes.
Sometimes we really need a break to be able to come back and
Yeah,
have that
absolutely.
fresh perspective to kind of notice the small things, enjoy the small conversations that you have.
Mm,
And if you're mostly not enjoying it, then yeah,
mm.
probably to look for a change. And you're so good at helping people make those changes.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
not taking more clients.
Forget I said that then.
Awful, awful. But that you already said this, but confidence is another one. And I think with that, like courage, courage first.
Oh, courage for
Courage, just like
sure.
you're taking leaps, you're trying things out, you're gonna fail, it's not gonna work, you're gonna have to
Yeah,
try it again.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna launch something, you're gonna have two people signed up, damn, like, it's all
Yes.
of these things that takes courage. And like this can crush your confidence, no doubt.
Yeah.
So I think like it's gotta happen though. Like you've gotta trust. You gotta
Yes.
have like that like fake it till you make it
Yeah.
attitude actually, which I know that's not actual confidence. That's not like real because you're just like trying it on and like
Yeah.
going for it even though you're scared. Um, but the confidence can come. Like it's a long game thing, kind of like building your social media numbers or things like that. It's like if you want it organically, if you want the real deal, keep trying. And
Absolutely.
no, it's okay to quit. Like I just also it's okay to quit.
Yeah.
Because we always say that, like, don't give up, don't give up. And like I'm
Right.
big at preaching that because I see moments where I'm like, no, you don't give up. But then sometimes some people I'm like, give up. You've tried. Now you
Yeah.
know.
Right. That's true
Like
too.
you've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Like it's like, no problem.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Shifting and adjusting and,
Yeah.
and letting things go. And no, you're not failing. You're trying. And I think actually that is one of the qualities great
Yeah.
entrepreneurs have is
Just the
the
willingness.
willingness
Yeah.
to risk it.
And this is a good point to wrap up on just because it kind of comes back to like how this podcast was started, which was really about talking about this windy road that is, entrepreneurship, but also just life, right? Where it's like friendships come and go, boundaries are going to
Hmm.
get made, then they're going to get forgotten. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then even in the world of like what we do for work, which is a huge portion of our lives, like, if something doesn't light you up anymore, change directions. Those were really impactful words for me to hear about 5 years
Yes.
ago, over 5 years ago now. And um, I think that's important to keep at heart when you're, yeah, just thinking
Absolutely.
about.
And when you're in those moments of really noticing this kind of discomfort that you're having or those more negative emotions that you're having, whether it's a friendship, like you were saying, or a job or your job situation or your boundaries, to really lean into it, like to kind of give it space. So when I asked you before, when somebody asks you, when someone says, you're so busy,
Mhm.
and you have that kind of like, hang on a second, I would almost invite you to kind of go into that more to like, so I feel like there's exploration there to be had.
Mhm.
So I think when we have those little jobby feelings, it's like, okay, let me sit with this. What if this was okay to feel this way? Like, what if it's okay to feel this pain? Like, every now and then I think about how much I love you and dad, and I think about your health situation, and I feel this sting in my heart. And I'm like, what if it's okay that love feels like a sting
Mm,
sometimes? Like, why do we judge it as negative?
yeah.
Why is it negative? This is just another angle of me feeling love for you.
Yeah.
And like I think that those things where you're going through your life, just really lean into that sting and just don't judge it as negative.
Yeah. It's
It
funny when you put it that way. It's almost like when I get like, oh, like, don't say that. It's like,
yes,
it's this love I have for myself, right? And
right.
my choices that I'm like getting defensive of, right? But
Right.
I know it's a different situation, but yeah. I don't know. Like, are you saying that I should like not bother defending or just be okay with the fact that I have that reaction?
Well, I'm just thinking as it's happening. So you know the next is probably gonna someone's gonna ask you, probably
Mom says it
mom.
all the time.
Yes. So you know when you go visit her, you'll be ready for it. So my whole thing is use it as a science experiment
Yes.
as you go in. Okay, she's gonna ask you. Okay, so get curious about that feeling. That's it. Just get curious about it. You can
Yeah.
still respond the way that you respond, but really go deeper into, okay, give this space now.
Yeah.
Give
Okay.
this some space. Okay, it's uncomfortable, but what if it's not bad to feel this uncomfort?
Mm,
What if this is me protecting myself?
yeah.
Or what if this is me protecting her because I don't want her to worry about me?
Yes.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it just
Yeah.
gives you a little bit more
Yeah.
information on where you're at,
Hmm.
and it helps kind of move past that.
Right.
So you would have a kind of different reaction. I mean, you could keep having that reaction, but you could have a
Yeah.
different relationship with that question, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I've been observant of it for a good while now and I just notice it. Like I don't, yeah, I guess I haven't done much work around it, but
I
other
have
than
s- I have
noticing, but
I have
which,
similar questions that
yeah.
or moments that just, bring out something. And so yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
lean into those a bit more.
I'm editing my book right now and I'm just reading about the chapter on triggers, like on being triggered is exactly what you're speaking to. But no, like it's a trigger, right? It's like something that literally like makes you like feel ugh.
Yeah, yes,
So like
exactly.
noticing who that is, what's being said, what's going on there, and
Yes.
like where's that coming from? And
Yes.
like not just immediately trying to avoid it or be away
Right.
from it or like
Right. And if you could give it an image or words, what would you say? Like if, if you're in that moment and you just let yourself and you can leave the interaction with mom, go
yeah.
home and just let yourself draw it or feel it, or what would you say in that? Because there's an old belief or an old pattern that you
Hmm.
can probably let go of
Hmm.
if you want. I
Yeah.
mean it, but you might not want to, and that's totally fine too.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot to dive into here. This might go into the next episode.
This
I will keep
might.
observing and we
Yes,
can come back to it.
absolutely. We can. And thank you so much for taking the time to answer these questions,
Thank you.
collect the
Thank you,
questions.
Nikki. Thank you, everyone who's listening. Thank you for people sending in questions. You can continue to do that. info@jamiemore.com. And we'll be recording these monthly, once a month. So
See you next month.
see you next month. And maybe before then. Oh, yeah, you can still come to the Wonder Weekend, April 4th to 7th. There's
Ooh.
still a room or two left. Otherwise, you can't hang out with us. Just joking. We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.